and Innovation Strategies. Moderator Mr. K. Gupta, Director, Resurgent India Limited. Eminent speakers Ms. Nikita Bose, National Head, Government Business, Invoice Smart, a TREADS platform. Mr. Devi Dayal Garg.
So you can start now.
Okay, welcome all the participants. So we are happy to say that more than 500 registration with us. And the topic is very important for the SME sector, growth catalyst and funding and innovation strategy. So we are eminent speaker, as we already informed you. Our Dr. C.A. Chaitanya Shah is CEO Chaitanya Shah and Company. Mr. Bhavesh Patil is MD, Opulence Business Solution Private Limited. We have Nakita Bose, National Head, Government Business, Invoice Mart, a trade platforms. And we have Mr. Devi Dayal, CFO, Future Generalized India Insurance Company Limited. I think today's topic will be discussed with all the eminent speakers. What are the innovations and what are the difficulty being faced by the SME sectors? So you are aware that the government has changed the definitions of the SME sector. From the data available, the metro sector having 99% with 630 lakhs crore entrepreneurs. And for SME sector, we will not talk much that they are playing a important roles in the development of the economy. As you are talking about the manufacturing output, we are having a 44.5%, export 48%. Even for employment, more than 11 crore rupees, 11 crore people they are employed. And they are also playing very important role under the GDP. The government have taken so many steps, including amending the Income Tax Act, Section 43BH, where the buyer has to make the payment within 45 days. What are the problems? What are the challenges being faced by the SME sector? When we're talking about the credit gap, it is 20 to 25 lakh crore rupees credit gap is there. When we are talking about the macro, we are paying about 99% macro in the economy, having only 11% access to the total credit. Even when we are talking about the SME sector, where our traders are also included, when turnover is 250 crore rupees, and investment in plant and machinery that to a depreciated value in 50 crore rupees are being classified as a SME sector. That means less than 40% credit are being availed from the banking sector, from all the lending institutions. That means formal credit system is only catering up to 40%. When we are talking about the macro sector, they are only 11%. That means there is huge gap in the credit. Besides the credit, we are also feeling that the raw material for the infrastructure, also there are so many problems there. Although the government had come out with a scheme of co-lending and other credit guarantee trust for a small and marginal entrepreneurs, where 5 crore rupees are being given a guarantee. That too, the SME sector or a macro sector, they can avail the credit up to 5 crore rupees without providing any collateral security. So these things are there, we will going to discuss in details. First of all, I welcome Shri Dr. C.A. Chaitanya Shah, who is expert on the fields. And he has a vast experience in respect of the SME sectors. So first of all, I am requesting Mr. Shah, what are the challenges being faced by the SME sector? And what are your views? Because you have studied so many things, so many webinars, so many books you have published. So we want to listen to you instead of I am going talking. We want to listen to you, sir. What are the challenges? I have told you what are the growth sector, what the economy will play important role for the development of the SME sector. We want to listen from you. What are the challenges being faced by the SME sector? And what is your suggestion? What are your recommendations to the government? Because we are going to send this uh, recording to the government also. So we request you to please give your thoughts on that. I request Mr. Chaitanya sir. Chaitanya sir, please.
Okay. At the outset, I would like to thank Resurgent India as well as dear friend Gupta ji for giving me this opportunity to Devesh. Make it full screen. For giving me this opportunity. As the introductory speech by Gupta ji, he has very succinctly touched upon the important points. First and the most important is that MSMEs today are, as aptly mentioned in the title, are the growth catalyst. In the sense that the economy which has to grow, Indian economy, which has been growing at a phenomenal pace in last about 10 years and have moved from 10th to the 5th slot in the international arena as our fastest growing economy and 5th spot and planning to go to the 3rd spot. For this, MSMEs are playing a huge role, and government on its part has been doing many things, providing all sorts of support to see that the MSME sector stands by. Now, I would deal with few of the things, the expectations which are there, and I would deal with primarily, as Gupta ji said, on the banking front. I have my very strong views on this subject, and I'm working on it separately, which also I would possibly mention during the course of the presentation. So, Devesh, go to the first slide. Now, first, let us understand the definition of the MSME Act. The MSME Act, which has been recently it was introduced only in 2006 and recently been amended and upgraded for its definition to bring micro with 5 crores turnover and investment in plant and machinery at 1 crore, small enterprises with turnover up to 50 crores and investment in plant and machinery of 10 crores. Medium enterprises will have a turnover of 250 crores and investment in plant and machinery not more than 50 crores. Now, this is a very important change which the government has brought in line with the international norms and the standards. However, just for the information of the audience and the panel, internationally, manpower employed is also one of the important criteria in terms of way the MSMEs are defined. They normally call them SMEs or small businesses. Devesh. Gupta ji, I have about 15 minutes.
Please go ahead. Go ahead, no problem. I may not restriction. Please go ahead.
Okay. Now, let us look at, since as we have mentioned, that it is a growth catalyst. How it is a growth catalyst? If we see the socio-economic importance of the MSME, and since last 2 budgets, government is calling it as an economic growth engine. As far as the contribution to GDP is concerned, MSMEs play a very vital role. And have a furthermore role to play because the expectation of their share in GDP is going to be increasing, which we will deal with. Second most important part is the employment generation. MSMEs, with the various schemes launched by the government of India, is creating huge employment opportunity and also the growth opportunity. And with the digitization, I'll just share a very simple, a very small example. I was told that in Baroda, there was a small tea vendor. He is still there. Now, this tea vendor, he was doing a business for last 15, 20 years. And somebody, some knowledgeable person like maybe Bhavesh Patel had gone there and inquired, that what is your turnover and all that. Then he said, my daily turnover is around 6,000 to 7,000 rupees. So monthly, he is netting somewhere around 1.5 to 2 lakhs. Now, the biggest advantage with the digitization and all these UPI payments and all that, he gave him and he found out that everything, more than 90% of the payments are received through UPI. So there is an official record. Now with this, what happened, he said, you will be eligible to the bank loan because you already have 15, 20 lakhs of rupees business, which is official and which can be proved. So he said, if I'm going to get some loans, I can also as well start a small another business attached to this of snacks and maybe improve my, the way I'm doing the business. That's how he grew. And this is the story. Another person whom I met, he had come just 5, 6 years back from Bihar, joined Ola Uber. He was totally raw. He was not knowing anything. In 6 years, we were returning from Boisar to Mumbai. And he said, Saab, I'm having this taxi which I'm driving is my own. And I have another 2 taxis which I own given on rentals. So this is the kind of employment generation which I'm giving the examples. And it's a huge possibility. Anybody who is going to work on it, study these schemes, look at the opportunities, they will get tremendous options on this. Third is support to large industries. This MSME sector is a huge, a support system to the large industries. I had been associated with one of the large Indian multinational, and they have plants, 6 plants all over the country. Each of the plant have 5,000, almost 5,000 SMEs as their suppliers. Now, these suppliers, because they are associated with the large companies, they are growing the industrial area, whether it is Nasik, Igatpuri, or all those kind of places, they are in a position to grow in a big way. Ahmedabad, near Ahmedabad, Baroda, even Pune, there are a lot of industrial areas which are coming up, and all these people are growing there. And these large industries which are growing, they will need this support in a big way. Next is encourages inclusive growth. When you are having MSMEs who are growing, people with 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, maybe a crore, 2 crore, 5 crore, those kind of people are coming into the society. They are businessmen, they are having their own. So their standard of living, if you notice, the standard of living in India has dramatically improved in last 5 to 10 years. And this will further keep on increasing with the way the industries are growing, MSMEs are growing. Next is important role in Make in India. Now, this is a very, very important thing. If you notice, government is giving a tremendous push to the MSME industry. One of the major initiative by the government is that imports or any procurement up to 200 crores for the government has to be procured from the MSME segment. Neither will it be imported, nor will it be taken from the large industries. So this kind of initiatives provides a tremendous support to the MSME for their growth. Balanced regional development. in a vast country like India, it is also giving a huge, opportunity for different parts of the different states and different, districts within the state to grow. Classic example is, till recently, till 10 years back, Northeast was supposed to be a very, very backward area, and there was hardly any development which was taking place since independence. Now, the entire Northeast has grown into a huge industrial hub. There are all infrastructural facilities which the government has provided, and that's where this is helping them. Now, the sector-wise percentage, manufacturing, MSMEs give 45%, exports, they are contributing 40%, and employment, they are giving 69%. Devesh, next. Now, what is the vision? The government of India is totally focused, because they know that not only it will create a lot of employment, but it will create balanced regional development, provide opportunities to people, and the industries can grow in a big way. So share in GDP is expected to increase from 30 to 40%. Share in exports from 48 to 60%. And jobs in MSMEs, since this is a little old number, I understand that the 16 crore figure has gone to 20 crores. Government expects these jobs to increase in MSMEs to 20 crores. Now, this is all connected with the targets of India, that we want to be the third largest economy and a $10 trillion economy by 2030. So considering all this, MSMEs are going to have a huge kind of an opportunity which is there. Now, just in terms of startups, India had hardly any presence in the startup area or the startup ecosystem. Now, which was only 400 in 2014, it's 7,000 in 2020. And the number of unicorns have gone up with billions of US dollar value in terms of the growth which they have taken. So it is going to create So it is going to create a fantastic opportunity for MSMEs, startups, and the way the whole economy will work. Next. So as I mentioned, 5 to 10 trillion and 5 to third rank, and great expectation for GDP and employment. These are the two top priorities for the government for support of the large companies. Next. Now, the crux of the MSME as a catalyst and the scope which is there. I will not deal, considering the limitation of the time. I'm not going into the other numbers, but the one which are marked in yellow. Total number of MSMEs in the country are around 6.4 crores. Surprisingly, 99% plus are in the micro stage. And this is where the opportunity for MSMEs to grow is lying. Huge opportunity. And this is where the entire ecosystem, this is what myself and Gupta ji, we keep on talking about it quite frequently, on this subject, how this can be supported. At the same time, another issue connected with this is that 30% of the MSMEs don't survive, 32% of the MSMEs don't survive beyond 3 years, which is a big loss to the economy. And this is where the powers that may be, the government, the professionals, the different organizations like Resurgent India and all the other people, the entire ecosystem, they should look at these numbers, how we can increase the MSMEs, micros going to small scale and small scales going to the medium scale, and how the number of failures can be reduced. I will touch upon this issue in one of the later slides. Devesh. Now, let us come to the objective of a business. Whenever somebody is starting a business, what is the primary objective? everybody wants that their business should have a long-term sustainable life. They would like their business to grow from 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, 40 years, 50 years, and 100 years. That is the vision with which, or the desire with which everybody starts a small business. Just look at the way Dhirubhai Ambani started in 60s. He was an ordinary rayon vendor. He was a trader in rayon. Slowly and gradually set up the unit in 77, 78. Today, post 60 years, it is one of the world's largest unit in the man-made fiber industry and the petroleum industry. So this is what everybody looks at. But these are, if wishes were horses, then everybody will have an advantage. Now, in doing this, what are the most important things? You have to have a ROI, return on investment. Return on investment is the fundamental parameter which the MSMEs must understand and take it up and ensure that ROI is generated, which is basically interest plus capital return and return to investors. This is the minimum amount of money or whatever maximum you can generate. To that extent, your business will thrive. We'll deal with this little later also. It should also be enough to fund your routine and expansion requirements and creating wealth for the investors. If you see Tata, Ambani, Infosys, HUL, all the multinationals and Indian companies which have survived for more than 50, 100 years, they have created this win-win situation for themselves as well as for the parties which are associated with them. Devesh. Now, if you have to create in today's environment, or for that matter, when you want to create a long-term sustainable business, what are the preconditions? If you want to create a business which will survive and last for, as you wish, maybe for generations and all, then to my mind, there are basically 3 fundamental requirements which need to be maintained and complied with on a consistent basis. First is optimum utilization of resources. Any business, manufacturing business, if you have a particular unit, there is a defined capacity, whether it is in tons, whether it is in metric tons, whether it is in liters, whether it is in feet, whatever. Now, this unit which you have set up, it must consistently operate at its full capacity, if not little more than that. And one of the classic example is a Shree Cement. I used to study those balance sheets a few years back. They consistently perform beyond 100%. Their capacity utilization will be more than 100%. And moment you achieve this, you are utilizing every penny of investment which you have made in the business. So this is the first and the fundamental requirement. Second is, which is connected with the value of the business owners, whatever value systems they are following. And this, to my mind, is a big question mark. Here, the business owners must ensure that whatever earnings are taken place or whatever the business is doing, it is dealing fairly and fairly distributed to the stakeholders. For example, whether it is your financiers, whether they are your employers, whether they are suppliers, whether they are investors, whether they are financial institutions, or whether they are customers or anybody, and society at large. If you are having a fair distribution to stakeholders, those I will just roughly touch this point. You notice in the market, those companies who are complying with this, they have a very high PE. Price to earning ratio for some of these companies is as high as 150, 200, 250. Whereas those who are not having that kind of a reputation may be hovering around 15, 20 kind of a thing. So this is something which the business owners must understand. MSME also cultivate this kind of a philosophy right from the beginning. I have seen many small businesses who are very good with their value system and very fair with their stakeholders, be it employees, be it their suppliers or the customers. Next is compliances. Post 2014, the compliances news is tightening on the entire business arena, be it large corporates or be it small businesses or be it individuals. Corporate governance issues has to be complied with. Today, we all know that with digitization, everything is automatic. Your income tax returns, GST returns, other compliances, everything is digitized and you don't have to worry about it. But this is also creating a huge data bank for the government. And they have so much of data about every individual which is there in this. So these three things, optimum utilization, fair dealing with the stakeholders and compliances. These three things put together will help you build performance and credibility. And this is a short formula for creating a long-term sustainable business. Next. Now, as Gupta ji mentioned, I'm coming straight to the funding again with the limitation, although I may be exceeding. Gupta ji, you can tell me.
No problem. Please go ahead. Because this is an important chapter which you are touching up, sir.
Yeah. Now, funding is one of the most important thing as far as the MSME is concerned. And I have given some, presentations and all that at different forums. What I find is that in this transaction of funding, there are two parties. One is the supplier of fund and other is the borrower of the funds, taker of the funds, the demand side. Now, supplier are the lenders, which are basically banks and institutions, and demand side is the borrowers, which is MSME in this case, because we are dealing with the MSME as a growth catalyst. Now, what is happening is, plus there is the MSME ecosystem, which is there. There are regulators and bank, then other things. Most of the things are there. Now, come to the next slide. But now, what is happening as far as the lender is concerned, the supplier, his assessment of the funding requirement of the borrower, that is MSME, and monitoring is perfectly in place, 100% in place, because they are into this as a specialized business and it is their business, so they are absolutely clear about it. But the biggest problem is on the demand side. The borrower, that is the MSME owner, whether it's a small business or whether even if it 150, 200 crore business, I have observed the same kind of issues are remaining there. Besides the regulatory compliances, RBI, IBC compliances under GST and all that, this news is also tightening as far as the outside is, impact is concerned. Now, if we see, on one hand, Gupta ji mentioned about the huge funding requirement of the MSMEs. But on the other hand, if you notice, banks and other financiers are also flushed with funds. They are not in a position to lend it to the MSME segment. And what is the reason for this? The reason for this is something which we will deal with in the next slide, 11. Go. Yeah. Now, this is what is my observation. And on every forum of MSMEs, I suggest and I impress upon the MSMEs that if you have to borrow the money, these are the fundamental principles which you should follow. Number one, your assessment of requirement should be scientifically be done, be it for term loans or be it for working capital. You must scientifically arrive at the requirement, understand that these funds are genuinely required and it will be productively be used in the business. Second is the sources different. Now for MSMEs, there are so many schemes which are there in the market. Besides, each bank has a separate MSME division, and they are providing so much of different types of scheme, so much of flexibility. Now these funding schemes they should understand and find out which is best applicable to their environment. Third is presentation and follow-up. Again, one of my observation is that presentation by the MSMEs is very, very poor to the lender. If a bank or institution or even any other funder, of the fund, unless you give a right presentation, if your case is properly not represented, then he is not generating the kind of confidence which is required to be there for a lender. A lender needs a very high level of confidence, which I will be dealing with. Unless you have that, it's very difficult. And this is where MSMEs need to improve upon in a big way, how you present and how you follow up. So this is something which is very important. And the fourth is post-completion analysis. Once the funds are disbursed by the lender, the borrower, in this case the MSME, he must ensure that the funds are utilized for the purpose for which it has been given. One of the biggest observation of the lenders, banks, is diversion of funds. Gupta ji, am I right?
You are right, sir.
One of the biggest observation is that all the funds which are borrowed for so and so purpose, it doesn't go there. It doesn't go for the intended use for which it was given. And as a result, you have a problem with your bankers. Next. Now, I'm just giving you one simple case study, which will give you insight into what kind of a problem is there with a case study. One gentleman came to me for one of his known person, that Shara, you help him in terms of this. So I just asked for casual, numbers, that you give me initially preliminary numbers and all that. And these are the numbers. 20 to 23, their actual turnover was 16 crores. 23-24, they projected 30 crores. And based on that, they wanted to apply to the bank. And that's what they did later on. Now for 23-24, the actual turnover came to only 14 crores. Now just imagine that what kind of an impression one is created with the banker, with the lender. And with these numbers, if you go to anybody, what will happen? For banker or lender, credibility of the person who is running the business, owner, is the most important thing. If you have the credibility, I am telling from my own personal experience that banker will be willing to make some adjustments, understand your condition, understand your circumstances. I am referring to a case where one of the leading institutions, in case of a paper mill, when it was in a red, they agreed upon giving certain concessions for the simple reason that it was the market conditions which were responsible. And among the loss-making units, this was the best performing unit with the minimum losses under the given circumstances. So you have to generate your credibility. You have to generate your capacity to repay. And you must have also your capital for lenders to generate required confidence in giving more money to you. I will very briefly touch upon cases. Byju's, I think everybody knows. Recently, yesterday or day before, in Economic Times, the thing has come. It's a newspaper item, so I have no problem in telling. Paytm, there is basically a viability issue. The business is not viable. Now, after so many years, if these questions are arising, how the business was being run, There are basic fundamental issues which are coming up. In one particular case, a logistic company which was doing very well wanted around 8 to 10 crores, but one PE fund lent them 25 crores. Now just imagine that if you need to eat 4 chapatis and if you are dumped with 10 chapatis, what will happen to your health? Next. So I finish my talk with 2 slides. My very favorite slide is this. I always generally give in most of the presentation. Businesses don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. And this, Bhavesh just noted, this is one of the biggest issue I observe about MSMEs. Their financial management is a big challenge. And Gupta ji, I am already, this Sunday, I am giving to the CP study circle of Matunga. I also gave it the WRC. I am requesting chartered accountants to go deeper into the financial management of the MSMEs and help them open their eyes and ears, because for various reasons, because of the ecosystem which was operating, they have never been particular with their books of accounts. So this is a most important thing. They must ensure a sound financial management system. And the other corollary to this is that most of the business owners are technocrats or family managed businesses. They find it extremely difficult to understand the finer nuances of the financial management. Now, as a owner, business owner, if you are not clear about what is your requirement, you can't tell your service provider. So that is the next slide. Come. MSME entrepreneurs don't need fish. They need to learn fishing. They don't need finance professionals. They themselves have to learn certain fundamental financial management principles, because then only they run the business properly and take the services of the service providers. So with this, friends, I end my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shah. I think what is your last slide? Fishing not needed. What is requiring a fishing?
They need to learn fishing, Gupta ji. They really need to learn fishing.
Then what you are also telling, plan to fail. What? Plan to fail.
MSMEs don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan.
That is important because we are not having a proper planning, not proper assessment. As we are given 1 or 2 examples, where
Yes.
the projection is 30 crore rupees, they achieve only 14 crore rupees, and how the bank is having. And
Yeah.
you also mentioned what the banker used to, we as a banker, we are used to talk about the creditability, and we are talking about the capacity and capital. I think 3 C's are most important aspect in the
Yes.
banking.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the more important aspect is investment, return on investment, what you're talking. I think that is a good mantra you have given to our participants who are listening to us. Today we are, some bankers friends are also here. I think they will be happy to listen to you, what you're talking about the pay utilization. As per requirement, you should utilize, don't divert. You are diverting the funds, that means it is a
True.
use of the funds. You should utilize as and when it's required by you. I think this is the most important aspect. Sir, I will come back to you. I'm coming to Bhavesh Patil.
If any questions, I will be glad to answer.
Yes, I am coming to Shri Bhavesh Patil, MD, Opulence Business Solution Private Limited, and is the expert for accelerators and incubator. I think this is a major concept for a startup government have introduced. The how incubator, how accelerator can be helpful to a startup. Even they can give you the place of business, they can give you all type of facility, technology, other things are there. So he is almost fair at Ahmedabad, and he is expert under all the field of a startup. And I think I'm thankful to Mr. Bhavesh because you have spared your time. You are a very busy person. You can still, I think our participant be lucky to listen to you. How you can be helpful to them as a accelerator or as an NV creator, and how a startup can be helpful. I think your vision will be very useful for our participants. So I request Mr. Patil, please give your thoughts in respect of this accelerator and what is indicator and how they are helping the startup. Please,
Yes,
Mr. Patil. Sir.
yes. Thank you so much, Gupta ji, and thank you, Resurgent India, for the wonderful platform, which is quite useful for the MSME. And today's topic is also very useful, and I think Dr. Chaitanya Shah has given a quite insightful, things around this particular topic. So thank you so much. Now, coming to your questions, comparing the MSME with these startups or maybe MSME incubators and accelerator are relatively lesser or hardly anything available in the market as compared to the startups, accelerators, and incubators.
Oh, that's why we are asking you, sir.
So, yeah, typically these concepts is more prevalent in these startups, and typically when we compare these, we say that startups born for the dream of achieving unicorn or decacorn or those kind of a dream. I always talk to my fellow MSME entrepreneurs saying that at least learn to dream, if not anything else. So the startups gives those energy, even if smallest of the smallest MSME have good number of profitability, but when it comes to the scale and speed of execution, that's where is the major issue coming in the MSME. So, luckily, we have been involved with various accelerators and incubators, and typically everybody knows that what is a kind of a role accelerators or incubators plays in the startup ecosystem. But MSME, honestly, it gives a completely different challenges, and the challenges starts with the mindset of the MSME entrepreneur. you know and everything can be provided by government finances or credit, or there are so many people are giving the red carpet welcome to the MSME, but how to change the mindset of the MSME, that's the fundamental question remain unanswered since last 75 years of Indian history. And importantly, everybody knows that what kind of a contribution they are bringing to the Indian economy in terms of employment generation or exports or GST contributions, or all figures are in cumulatively favor of MSME, which is in terms of a nation building contribution. Yes, no doubt about that. But in terms of a per capita MSME, individual level, and Gujarat, incidentally, a kind of a hub of MSME. All Gujaratis and Marwadis have good number of factories. And if you visit them, just as a layman, forget about as an expert audit person of, MSME, the issue starts with the MSME. In the mindset side, and then there is a plethora of other issues. So I think the help this MSME kind of a incubator accelerator is a good idea, and there are very few or negligible people who are providing this. But it is like starting from mindset, improvement in the skill set, technology adoption. These are the three major area to start with, and then giving them the better idea around what is available out of the traditional banking system, because many of the people, they are not even aware of the government benefits, they are not aware of the some of the other platforms. Nowadays supply chain financing is a quite important things going on, and say we ourselves are the platform and connected with almost more than 300 supply chain lenders. So I mean, nowadays the ecosystem becomes so robust that it is all AI based and all tech based in terms of credit evaluation to end to end funding. Everything happens online, but poor MSME fellow is not aware of. So this kind of a first is the awareness part needs to be touched upon, and then talking about the deeper subject on the technology side, financial side, and the market access side. Many MSME, they are just relying on the job work or a contract manufacturing kind of a thing. They are not even ambitious to create their own brand, create their own distribution network, create the direct export channels rather than giving it to the middleman trader, and then he export it. So these are the very, very fundamental things, and nobody can give. I mean, these are very, very basic mindset issue which I believe. And this can be I mean, of course, this kind of seminar or other public market platform is required. The way I think SEBI comes out, and investor protection or a investor awareness initiative program. Similarly, I think probably we need a MSME regulator or MSME facilitator, and there probably this kind of programs and multiple incubators and accelerators, the way it is available in startups. I think Ministry of MSME or government, they need to come out with the idea that the way they have taken up the startup ecosystem, similarly we talk about creating like the I think Chaitanya ji has given an example that each SME is born to become MNC, but so in real sense SME to MNC journey, how they can pass through, and what are the system formula or ingredients required to achieve this kind of a high ambitious dream. That is what this accelerator and incubator can set the basic fundamental tone well set, and then we can take it forward.
Very nice, sir. I think you have covered it. Lekin major aspect what you're talking to learn to dream and what you're talking mindset. I think this is the most important aspect. To change the mindset is most important. Taking our point is for a startup, how you can help to them as a accelerator. How you can help our startup to set up their own business, or you can suggest anything to these people who are listening to you, sir.
Sorry, you are asking that how to set up
How to approach you as an incubator, as an accelerator, because accelerator are providing all type of facility to them. Even technology are providing. They are even providing the space also. Even the financial investment, they are also arranging for something, because this is the most important issue with our SME sector or a startup. How you can be helpful to these people?
See, it is basically, we need to collaborate first of all. I mean, in terms of we can have a collaboration, between it. I always talk about tri-sector partnership. So let's say, it is like academia, government, and the private sector. So let's say, you and us collaborate along with the Ministry of MSME and right kind of academic institutions coming together, create this kind of platforms which we may call it accelerator, incubator, or to the larger extent I think cluster is more important in the MSME.
Right.
And within the cluster we can set up this we call it MSME labs, or we call it MSME incubators. So this kind of an initiative is required from a very high level in terms of segregating the products wise or territory wise. We need to, I mean, already government has done this job, like let's say in Gujarat there's a place called Morbi, and Morbi is a cluster of tiles, ceramic tiles. Same way there are many, I mean, there are chemical cluster, there are textile clusters. So when I was looking from the global perspective, I was comparing the India MSME versus China. And there is a quite difference in terms of the way this has come up, and China became the global factory. And now we started talking about China plus one, and we started talking about entering into the top three economy and all those things. So I think initiative, if we want to take it, then it has to be formalized with this tri-sector partnership. Government, along with, let's say, we can talk to a couple of IIMs or IITs, and then the private sector. So then, there are various federations which represents various MSME associations, and they can be also a part of this platform. And sector specific approach is needed, very focused approach, because the solutions required for ceramic tiles is completely different than the solution required for the textile sector, let's say. So because the scale, economies of scale is very, very important to achieve from the MSME, and only the cost competencies can be brought in by the idea of cluster formation. So that is why within that cluster, we can talk about setting up the accelerator or incubators or MSME labs, and then bringing in various kind of a support ecosystem in terms of technology support, go-to-market support, financing support, and also some sort of efficiency and productivity improvement programs. Many things can be done around that, but it has to be a sector specific, geography specific, and it has to be in a smart. So we in past we have run a program called how to create 100 smart industrial cooperative cluster, SICC. We have given the name called SICC, Smart Industrial Cooperative Cluster. So MSME, they don't need to fight with another MSME. They need to either becoming ambitious, becoming like a mid market or a large corporate MNC, or they need to create a platform, and then they need to compete with the another country. So I was very much deeply involved with the Morbi cluster, ever since almost close to 15,000 crore turnover to now. Morbi is about to touch the 1 lakh crore turnover, that cluster. And we have done various initiative with the government. We have taken them to various other countries to collaborate and to see that how the other clusters, other countries are working. And this has made a lot of changes in that cluster, and which has been given as the best, one of the best cluster award also. So these are the certain initiatives are required, and which can be taken by the respective association, respective federations, and leadership can be taken by the tri-sector partnership, and we can be instrumental in that.
Thank you very much, sir. I just want to inform that certain government, like Odisha government, Maharashtra government, has set up some incubators where they are providing the space, they are providing the technology. They have only issued some idea, innovation should be there for a startup. I think facilities are available in all places, even some that you are talking about the cluster approach. Textile cluster approach is also there. You can say Maharashtra, Amaravati. And government have come with Mitra scheme where in the cluster they can develop where the innovation should also there, digitalization can be there, technology can be there. It can be very helpful to them. Thank you very much, sir. I will come back to you. I am coming to the Madam Boss, who is a national head, government business invest a trade platform. Trade platform she is heading. National head is there. So TED, madam, is playing very important role to discount the receivable, to have an auction for the receivable. Because major aspect, the challenge being faced by the SME sector, delay payment. Although the act is there in 45 days, they should make the payment. Otherwise, that will not be allowed to consider as a expense. Because still, they are facing a problem. The TED platform are playing very important role. since you are helm of fear of the trade, you are national head for that. So just tell me how the trade is functioning and how the trade is useful for our SME sector to realize their dues. And I feel that the trade platform is without any recourse. So once it has been discounted, there is no liability of the seller. So just I want to have a brief on the trade platform, what you are heading for that. I hand over to Madam Bose.
Namaskar. Actually, it gives me immense pleasure to be invited today as one of the speakers by Resurgent India. More so because of the eminent panelists who are there to share the dais today. And I really congratulate Resurgent India for organizing such meaningful conclaves, especially with the name MSME Growth Catalyst. This is actually really heartening for me because MSMEs, I am really close to, I have given a larger part of my life working towards the growth and development of MSMEs. And I will actually take this opportunity given by you, sir, to actually salute the MSMEs of our country. I give a round of applause and I salute the MSMEs of our country because they are, I don't consider them any less than the soldiers of our nation, because they actually face all the whirlwinds of the economy, whatever happens, COVID, inflation, whatnot. But they just carry on. More so because they have to work for their own. However, they, don't even realize that actually they are carrying the burden of the economy on their shoulders. So, and importantly, which is why the government of India has, after 2014, the government has taken charge and shifted the limelight to this MSME sector. Usse pehle, there was hardly any limelight on this sector, honestly, to be very frank about it. So, and in fact, I would here like to quote our Honorable Cabinet Minister of MSME here, who has just recently taken charge as the Minister of MSME, Shri Jitan Ram Manji ji. He said कि जब उनको वो सौंपा गया भार मिनिस्टर ऑफ एमएसएमई बनने का, ही सेड कि मोदी जी ने कहा कि मैं आपको अपना विजन सौंप रहा हूँ, मैं आपको अपना जो मेरा सपना है वो सौंप रहा हूँ. So it actually reflects more on the side of the government, that how government is inclined towards the upliftment and improvement of the MSME sector. So when I'm talking about the threats thing, I would actually, because I have worked with the Ministry of MSME that was my last engagement, and I very recently joined here in Invoice Smart as the national head for the government business. So I'll for the benefit of the audience, I would try to reflect more on the growth and development of MSMEs. कि आजकल बहुत बात हो रही है what is industry 4.0. So it is imperative to understand what was industry 1, industry 1.0, और इंडस्ट्री 2.0 और 3.0 क्या था कि आज 4.0 की बात हो रही है. So I would shed some light on that. So between the mid 18th and the 19th, mid of the 19th century, I believe, it was the first industry for 1.0, wherein the actual industrial revolution came into place. It was all across the world and it hit our country as well. In the 2.0, there was adoption of the electricity as an energy source. In 3.0, automation in the industry, like the use of computers and control units and the robots, they came into picture. And now 4.0, wherein we are talking about real-time decision making, making productivity, flexibility in terms of resilience. So here this AI, IoT, cloud computing, machine learning, all this is coming into picture. My agenda of telling all this gyan to the audience is we need to understand that there was a growth in the pace of development in terms of understanding for MSMEs. Now that pace has started to take place on a very steady pace. So we need to be, adaptable towards technology. We need to understand that technology is a game changer, and as MSMEs also adapting new technologies, adapting to new developments that are happening all across the world is very, very imperative. So here, when asked by sir, and I tell you, I am so attached and inclined towards MSMEs. तो जब आप challenges की बात करते हैं MSMEs का, तो there are 4 major challenges that I have always seen, and the major thing that we are discussing today is access to finance, which I will touch base. But there is access to market, there is access to technology, and there is the most important, which actually Mr. Patel also touched base here in the last discussion, that there is a huge lack of awareness and capacity building amongst the MSMEs. पता ही नहीं है कि what is happening at the government space, and there are so many beautiful schemes that are being introduced by the government of India since many years. They are there and running. But the irony of situation is MSME doesn't know. पैसा उठाने के लिए, I have seen MSMEs taking the money from the market at even 60% per annum. I mean, this is such a sad reality of our country. So the major important part is this lack of awareness, and which is why I think Threads is one of the miraculous platforms that have been developed by the government of India. And Threads was actually, what we can say, Threads is a joint venture of the government of India and RBI. It's a regulated entity, and it was actually developed to facilitate and propel the government programs like financial inclusion, the Make in India, the Skill India, along with the various other schemes that are there for the MSMEs. Primarily, the agenda of these schemes is to make timely and cheap credit available to the MSMEs, because there is a huge credit gap in the economy, and the credit gap is so huge that it will take another 10 years to actually come closer to the number that we are looking at. So Threads is actually, what I can say, is a digital marketplace that actually connects 3 parties. एक हो गया buyer, the buyer who, that can be a large corporate, that can be a PSU, that can be a government department, that can be a corporate, कोई corporation भी हो सकता है, and there are MSMEs that are there, and they actually, MSMEs act as the vendors, and they supply to these large corporates, or we can term them as buyers for now. जो भी हम उनसे खरीदते हैं, for example, government कुछ खरीद रही है आपकी, आदित्य बिरला, टाटा, रिलायंस, they are purchasing things from the MSMEs. So this is a buyer and seller format, and in that scenario, there comes a third party, which is an active group of financiers that are there. So this is a platform wherein all the 3 parties come together, and on the real-time basis, a bidding happen, which is a transparent process, and which actually unlocks the working capital facility for the buyers and their MSME suppliers in a very, very, what we can say, transparent and efficient manner. Right. So if you allow me a minute or so, I'll just give you a very layman example of how Threads operate.
You just please,
So,
please.
yeah. So, for example, I am an MSME, and Mr. Gupta, you are a large corporate, and I supply these Aquafina bottles to you, right? I am an MSME vendor, and for that matter, I have generated a bill of 1 lakh rupees. I've supplied to you 1 lakh rupees of goods, and you say that, Nikita, I am not able to pay you today. Because I am, some funds are pending from my side, or whatever reason that may be. I will pay you after, my comfortable date would be after 60 days, or maybe after 40 days, or whatever date you choose, you tell me. Right. So in olden days, what used to happen is, you gave me what? One invoice. So that invoice was like a negotiable instrument. And what I used to do is, I used to go to different banks. I went to Bank of Baroda. Went to PNB. I went to ICICI Bank. And then I gave them my invoice, that this is my invoice. I need funds urgently. Can you discount this bill for me? So banks used to, have a discussion with their departments, underwriters, and whoever, and then they used to say, "Ki hum 1 lakh pe I can give you 95,000," or some bank used to say 1 lakh pe 98,000, or some used to say 98 to 92,000. So I used to, do all the legwork of going to the banks, and then from the all the bids that have come to me because of my legwork, I will choose, the lowest. I mean, wherever I'm getting the highest amount of money. So this process, this legwork, and this bhaga dodi that an MSME used to face has been come down to zero because of this TREDS platform. An MSME is just supposed to have an Udyam registration number, and with that number he can just register or onboard on this platform. Usme apna invoice upload kare. Now when the MSME uploads the invoice on the platform, the buyer, that is you are supposed to accept that, okay, I am ready to go ahead with this transaction. The moment you accept, gaadi बढ़ जाती है. The invoice moves to the financials. There are more than 62 financials. All the banks that are there in the country, they are onboarded on our platform. And on a real-time basis, the bidding starts to happen. So 1 lakh pe the bidding starts to happen, and within minutes, the amount comes in front of the MSME, and he gets to choose the financier he wants to go ahead with. The moment he chooses, next working day, within 24 hours, the amount gets credited to his account. And on the due date of the invoice that you have given me, I mean the date you have given, you have mentioned that as per your convenience as a buyer, the bank automatically debits that money from your account without any charge on the buyer. This is, what do you say, Mr. Gupta? What do you say? What is the...
You're right. You're right. I think this is an excellent scheme which you are drafted by the government, and I think it is playing a very important role. What you rightly tell, people are not aware about this scheme. That's
Correct.
why we called you. You have explained very nicely. It is very simple process. So you should have a
Right.
registration of the registration. Accordingly, invoice can be loaded. Major point here is the buyer should
Right.
accept your advice. I think
Correct.
that will be the option, and the financier will come in the system and they will discount that. I think
Correct.
that important aspect of this empowered it is without recourse. If you are going for factoring, it can be with recourse. Even bank are
Correct.
discounting the debts. They are
Correct.
also under a, you can say, recourse. If a buyer is not paying the amount, so you will have to pay. Because this scheme is very, very excellent. I think the listener who is our entrepreneur who are listening to us or member of the association who is listening to us, I think they can ask their SME buyer, SME person. They must discount it from, they can utilize it that platform. And madam, you rightly tell what the skill development, what you're talking about the Stand Up India, what you're talking about the Mundra scheme, and even the credit guarantee trust scheme is, while people are not aware at all. I think awareness has to be created to SME sector, what type of facility they can avail. Madam, I will come back to you. I'm coming to Mr. Devi Dayal Garg. He is a CFO,
Thank
Future
you.
Generally India Insurance Company Limited. Sir, we are just talking about the risk factor because people are not paying the amount to the our SME sector. So government enacted the act. 45 days still they are not paying the amount. So NPA, the account become NPA if 90 days period are there. It become I think it is being proposed by the government may come in the budget. It is here say that the period, because we are in all webinar we also recommended, even during COVID period we also recommended that it should be for SME sector. The NPA should be considered 180 days, not 90 days. I think it is in the air also, it may consider by the government. Because major point is for the insurance. Sir. So insurance companies are giving all insurance, comprehensive insurance against the blocked assets, against the inventory. The point is receivable is also important aspect. Whether insurance company can give insurance against the receivable. Second issue, what we are talking about, because in such an eventuality, they could not have a profit. Whether this business loss or business profit can be guaranteed by the insurance company. I think this is the most important aspect which we are thinking about. Because you are helm of a David Dayalji, you are CFO of a important insurance company. Give your views whether your company is giving such a facility or any other company in India are giving such a facility to covering the loss. I hand over to Mr. David. David Dayal, sir.
So, sir, first of all, I would like to thank you and Resurgent India for organizing this webinar. It's a wonderful experience in terms of exchanging views with the other panelists. In terms of insurance, now basically, see, from the perspective of IRDAI chairman, Mr. Panda, it's basically completely he's after basically increasing the insurance penetration across all the sectors, leave apart MSME, and we are pushing for all sort of insurance basically, and some of the very simplified products like Laghu and Shukshma, which were more like traditional products. But now of late we are getting into all sort of credit risk insurance, basically where you can actually have your receivables insured uh, for as much as the 0 days of in 30 days or 60 days to 180 days. So whatever number of days you have, you pay a small premium, which would vary depending on size of the company to maybe 0.1%. Depending on the size of the company and depending on the age of the receivables. You want to insure it for 60 days or 30 days or 180 days. So it would vary from 0.1% to maybe 0.56% basically of the sales, which is very reasonable if you look at overall the kind of bad debts you see in the organizations, ranging maybe 1 to 2%. So insurance comes at very, I think, competitive cost. We Earlier we had one such basically product in Future Generali itself, which kind of we discontinued some time back. But there are now companies basically which provide this insurance. There you have examples of like Tata AIG would do it, Bajaj would do it, Bajaj General Insurance, IFCO Tokyo does it for the receivables part. We are also in the process of basically setting up this product, reintroducing that one again. So it's there. The products are there, and it does not cost as much. Basically, it's pretty kind of affordable from the perspective of the premium. Same thing if you look at in terms of the loss of profit. So that is again available, and you can insure in addition to your inventories or regular basically block of assets. The loss of profit as well. And loss of profit again, the premiums are very small. It would be maybe 0.1%, which is like a 0.1%, 1 rupee per milli in a way, to somewhere around maybe 2.2%. That's kind of premium you pay for the loss of profit if anything happens to your business due to any cat event or any sort of eventuality. So the products are available for sure. They are available. I think the awareness may not be as high. We need to have that awareness more and more, and it's very important. Basically, it's important from the perspective of risk management. It's important from the perspective of your the business continuity itself. That something happens and then you're completely basically at a loss. You are not able to pay back your loans. You are not able to pay back to your shareholders and all that basically. So it's pretty important that that's facility people should take.
Thank you very much. Just like we are feeling that the credit guarantee trust for a macro small enterprises, they are covering 5 crore rupees. So behind that, whether any insurance company can give a comfort to the banker in case of their failure or they are not paying or account turning to NPA or loss to the bank, whether insurance company can also cover the credit.
So credit is covered, sir. So that is what the credit insurance we are talking basically. The
Yes.
other part, if you that is another part that also we are looking at, and the products are also there in the market basically, which is surety insurance.
Okay.
So even if you have to give a surety to your say your principal for the purpose of executing a project, right?
Okay.
So there, instead of bank guarantee, now you can actually give a surety bond issued by a insurance company. And again, compared to the bank guarantee, where the bank would ask for a collateral against that. In case of surety bond, there is no collateral. You just simply basically.
Yes, yes. My point is that only
Yeah.
because people are not having a collateral. Up to 5 crore rupees, the bank should not insist for any collateral security. If more than 5 crore rupees is there, I think during my period when I joined the bank, there was one deposit insurance credit guarantee corporations which are being covered. Lekin now your insurance company are being covered the credit risk also.
Yeah,
I
we are getting into that.
so
Yes.
whether your company as an insurance company are covering such risks?
Yes, sir. So surety risk we insure. The surety insurance is there. So you can pay the premiums which are in the range of, again, it goes 0.1% to 0.5% basically, depending on, again, the kind of risk
Because
that you are.
once you give a such surety, when you give a guarantee, I think bank will be more comfortable.
So
Like
it's
how
not
many
given to
percentage
banks.
wise you are giving 100% coverage or 75% coverage or what is that?
So, sir, this guarantee is not given to bank. It's given directly to the principal.
Okay,
So,
you are
so
giving to the principal.
it
Like how
ultimate
much
to the
percentage you are covering? 100% coverage?
we will cover 100% in this case.
Very nice.
The
I
Yeah.
think this is eye opener. I was also not aware of such thing. Like it is important because once instead of going for a collateral or something, if you go to insurance company and pay some premium and you can guarantee the credit, I think the SME sector or a large sector can be benefited like anything. I think this is most important aspect. I'm thankful to you. So I will come back again if possible. So
Thank
I
you, sir.
think there is some question from Mr. S.C. Agarwal to our respected Chaitanya sir.
Yes.
Sir, to solve the problem of diversion of funds, Income Tax Act should be amended to tax the debt-free companies, enterprises. What is your opinion?
No, I don't think you can monitor the
Yes.
value system of a person through statute. It is the commitment of the owner or the businessman which has to be there. Because just changing the law or doing here and there is not going to work.
I think diversion of funds, how it come into Income Tax Act.
No, I think it's not possible. Not possible.
Another point is MSME owner know how to earn income. What CA need to become their honorary advisor to help them financially.
In fact, who will ask this question?
Mr. S.C. Agarwal. S.C. Agarwal, so many questions he asked.
Okay, Mr. Agarwal, in fact, this is a mission for me right now. I had addressed the Western India Regional Council Chartered Accountants. I am going to be addressing cost accountants as well as chartered accountants again sometime in next 10 days. See, chartered accountants have a huge role to play, but unfortunately, what has happened over years, that if you know the chartered accountants have they are divided into two main streams. One, those who are in industry, who know financial management, and the other one who are in practice, who are been focusing only on the compliances. Now, this is where the chartered accountants in practice have to open their mind, have to make some efforts. I have structured my program for this, and I plan to give this program to chartered accountants in a big way.
Right, sir. So Mr. Prem Raj is there. I want to know more about receivable insurance. How and what condition the claim are settled. Mr. Sir, Garg sir, whether you can tell something? Mr. Garg?
So, sir, in this case, basically we sorry. Sorry,
Please.
sir. Yes. So in this case, the conditions are in insurance case. Basically, conditions are not actually. It's more of the policy terms. Basically, what we really look at. But depending on, again, back to the, if it is a genuine receivable loss, will honor the claim.
If a bona fide sale is there, wire is available, there is
Yeah.
no such code. I think it can be settled once you are given
Yes.
insurance, because you are giving insurance after seeing the wire also. Who is the wire for that? I think that aspect insurance must be taken into consideration. Now, you must not be giving a blanket insurance to all the receivable. So,
No,
sir,
it's
what do you
it's
feel?
blanket to all, sir. It's on sales. So when we look at the insurance on the receivables, we actually, because I can't do specific. If I start doing specific one by one, then it does not work.
Okay, you are giving blanket to receivable to everybody. Then
It's
how to settle? How to settle? If we had done with their own company or something like that, how you settle the claim?
so that genuineness would depend on the facts of the case. So
Okay,
if it is
okay.
a genuine
So
receivable, you get definitely paid.
if general receivable there, definitely claim can be settled by you.
Yeah.
Okay. Then SC Agarwal is asked, Bhavesh sir, why not approach the finance minister with your advice? The new business of the florist make the first 3 years should be tax free. I think this is a suggestion from Mr. Agarwal. Then why we should not approach the finance minister? Bhavesh sir, you want to say something?
I think, yeah, as Dr. Chaitanya said that the discipline has to come from within,
Yes.
and the any kind of a soaps or incentives or any kind of a benefit, whether in the form of subsidy, whether in the form of incentive, is not going to last for the long term basis. So any improvement is needed is within the MSME individual structures, and at an aggregation level, government is doing quite a good job already. And there are different schemes, as we have already spoken on various schemes now. There are certain very innovative products, from Mr. Devi Dayal said about surety insurance and receivable insurance. What else you want? I mean, your receivables are insured, and your bills are getting discounted by government platforms. And there are so many credit options are also available in terms of unsecured credits also. The well-known is CGT-MSE, but other than that, various supply chain platforms are also available. So access to the credit is available. Access to, now the initiatives of GEM portal, lot many MSMEs are getting benefited, with the order book also. And the majority work has to be done around the new technology initiative, I believe, which is in the form of what ma'am was talking about, industry 4.0 or 5.0. Those initiatives has to come to make the MSME more relevant in the coming days, to compete with the other tech world. And that will bring more innovation and more cost competencies, uh, rather than asking only some sort of a benefits from government. So I am really not an advocate for giving the 3 years tax benefit. Yeah.
So I am coming to Madam Nikita. Nikita ji, there are one question from Mr.
Yes,
Agarwal
please.
also. So what telling MSME owner is afraid of GST and income tax? Have anything to say?
Owners are
Okay.
afraid of GST and income tax. Yes,
They are
I
afraid.
will tell you a very normal thing that is prevalent amongst the MSMEs in the country. कि let us not come into the formal sector. लेट इज नॉट कम, कोई हमारा ट्रांसपेरेंट हो जाएगा तो सारा डेटा सारा पता चल जाएगा किधर से क्या है, टैक्स ब्रैकेट में आ जाएंगे, ऑल दैट कम्स इनटू प्ले. सो a lot of MSMEs were reluctant coming into the GST framework, and in fact I'll tell you, a lot of MSMEs were also reluctant to get Udyam registered, thinking that they would be exposing their holdings, whatever turnover they have,
Hey,
to the government.
what is your suggestion? Because now the transparency, the GST is a very important aspect where everything is there.
Absolutely.
Why their question of afraid? Income tax, why the SME are afraid for that? There's no point if you are transparent. If you are
It
putting
is,
all paper clear, there is no question of any afraid from anybody.
so let me put it in this way कि अगर कोई crime किया है तो डरने की बात है.
Yes.
Otherwise, you should never be afraid of the law of the
You should
country,
not.
right?
I think the SME are not afraid of that. Another point is,
Right.
Mr. That Joseph is there. Our NBFC are allowed to on board to the trade fair platform.
Yes, absolutely. Two of the NBFCs are already there with our platform. We are also, looking forward for an arrangement to onboard more and more. There is a data of around 153 NBFCs now, and we are trying to look for opportunities how we
Very
can
good.
onboard all
It
of
is
them.
available. It is available.
Yeah,
Trade
yeah.
platform is available for NBFC also.
Uh,
Any
and
data on the
yeah.
level of NPA generated from the trade, you feel that any NPA level is available?
Right.
Available.
Absolutely. I have data of the last financial year, I'll tell you. So overall, all the platforms, in fact, we were the first platform to cover 1 lakh crore of transactions on March 31st. And subsequently, other platforms, there are two more platforms, they also cross the number. However, so in total, there were more than 3 lakh crore of transactions, out of which the NPA overall was 550 crore. And to tell you on that, there was only one company that had an NPA of 320 crore. So you can understand the kind of, the NPAs we have here. And to add one more information on this, while I was in the Ministry of MSME, the task force on trades was working of getting the trade credit insurance on trades. So that was also passed by RBI, and in October 23 only, the trade credit insurance is available on the trades platform also. So insurance companies are also onboarded as a part of the trades transaction.
They are also on the board of the what they are doing it insurance company on the trade
They,
platform.
so they are actually, in case of default on the place of buyer, they are
Okay.
giving the insurance to the bank.
Oh, acha. Who is bearing the cost for that?
So insurance company, they work on a specific principle. The same way they are working for separate normal single transactions, the trade credit, they are also working on they're replicating the same on the platform, on the online mode.
Very nice. So you have a great appreciation. These one question, Nalesh Jain is telling these webinar really beneficial about the more understanding about the untouched area of SME. Definitely, we have today touched it different angle we have touched the SME finance. Although we have conducted about more than 200 webinars on a different subject, majorly SME sector. But this today webinar was entirely different webinar, different footing, for which we call the expertise of Shri Shah, Mr. Shah, Mr. Bhavesh, and insurance companies also, because these are the untouched area which we try to touch so that it is beneficial to the other peoples. So, Mr. Prem Raj, one question is there. Even during the period of COVID, the bank sanctioned loan, no interest concession or other benefit given to SME. All are the papers seen even for the calculation of DP, banks are giving stocks of 60 days and receiver 90 days. In the current scenario, SME are even unable to draw the limit, how it can be tackled. I think these all banks are having some assessment. Every limit are being assessed on the basis of inventory holding, basis of current holding, current assets, current liabilities. Then they are coming out of primitive bank finance. If your bank has already assessed your limit on the basis of inventory holding, and you just go to the bank and find out how they have assessed the limit. If your period of holding of the stock is 60 days and receive in 90 days, definitely bank will going to give you. Only point is how much creditor you are getting. That creditor should also be minus. That means total current asset minus other current liability should also be reduced to come out a permissive bank finance. I think it is better because their system is there. System is well placed in the banking system. Now they are coming into cash flow lending also instead of a balance sheet based lending. Now I think it is better, Mr. Premraj, you can go there or you can discuss with us separately. That is a nice webinar, very nice program. informative webinar. I think I
Mr.
must.
Gupta, I would like to give a perspective on the last question that was taken on
Please.
terms of the COVID thing.
Yeah.
So, point number one, moratorium period was there for MSMEs for some time. And point number two, there an incident happened. The World Bank saw that there was huge potential in the MSMEs of our country, and for this they launched the RAMP program, the Raising and Accelerating MSME Performance Program. And they thought that MSMEs of the country require help and support during the drastic COVID times. So let us, give some help to extend some support to the government of India. However, वो 2020 से शुरू हुआ, then 2022 तक everything came on paper, and the MSMEs of the country were so strong, they came out flourishing. वो जो है उससे बहुत ज्यादा affected नहीं हुए, वो चलते रहे. As I already told you, they kept on moving and moving. Then this program came out to be a better and creating a synergy between the state and the center, and सारे MSMEs of different states, all the states were invited to come and participate. And trades was also one of the major agendas of the World Bank under this program. So you can imagine that external agencies, people outside the country, like World Bank, like the other governments, the other countries, they are seeing so much of potential in the country's MSME. So this is a sector worth flourishing, and I think if support is wanted, if an MSME requires any kind of support, there is definitely one or the other scheme of the government of India that can be for sure. Yeah.
Sir, please.
I think we must understand in the overall national context the entire thing. If one notices, during COVID, almost all the countries went for printing of the notes to tackle the mismanagement of supply and the slowing down of the economy. India was one of those countries who never printed the notes to overcome the issue. And as a result, today, whereas every country is facing the inflation issue, we are not facing that inflation issue.
Right.
We must understand that the government of India believes in efficiency and working by performance. You perform and you will get the benefit, you will get all your rewards. But if you want sitting with the back, laid back chair, that we want free bijli pani, then nothing will work.
Hi.
Karnataka, we know what is the situation now.
Sir. Sir, lastly, I request Mr. Chaitanya Shah.
Yeah.
A few words, any advice to our listener?
To
our participant. Any last advice to them?
See, participants, I will divide into two categories. Those who are MSME owners, their basic issue is that they are basically technocrats. They know either the market or the product or the technology. Most of them, they have no idea about how the business has to be run with 360-degree view. So they need to basically make an effort to understand the other nuances for running a successful business. That's very important.
Very nice. Any advice to them, sir? To our SME sector?
Yeah, SMEs, and second is the financial management. They need
more important. What you told, you utilize the fund for which you have taken. I think this is the most important aspect.
Gupta ji, I am not simply talking of the fund. It is one part of it. The overall financial management for a business unit, the way it is required to be done. What are the parameters or what are the fundamental areas where the owner should focus on?
Very nice, very nice.
Today,
Bhavesh sir, any advice, sir, to our participants? Sir?
I think one simple word is the change of mindset and, dream big. I think whole world is ready to support.
Very nice.
I think government is doing their bit very effectively, and investors obviously looking a big opportunity in the MSME. There are so many lenders want to encash this MSME opportunity. On the personal side, I think lots of introspection is required from each of the individual MSME. I mean, the moment they start looking into the growth, the problems will automatically disappear. Okay, because in our meeting with the associations with MSME, generally they discuss the problem areas. Nobody discuss the growth areas.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very nice, sir. Very nice. Nikita, madam, anything you have to say?
So I am so thrilled to hear from every panel. My suggestions would be for all the MSMEs and the audience who is listening to me that the world is completely changing and evolving. And we need to, stay abreast with the kind of technology that is coming over, the kind of schemes that the government is offering, what the banks are offering. So they need to be knowledge wise updated in terms of what is there for you in the platter. Also, one piece of advice for the chartered accountants who are there in the panel, and I was invited as a keynote in one of the CA-ICI events in Ahmedabad, where I spoke the same thing, and I'm reiterating the same, that जो CAs होते हैं, they can be the Krishnas for the Arjun. जो हमारे ये सारे MSMEs हैं, ये सारे हमारे पार्थ हैं. और जो पार्थ के सारथी हैं, ये सारे CAs हैं, they can be, because they have the virtue of studying, reading. MSMEs are not that savvy of, literature in terms of studying the schemes, in terms of getting the knowledge. तो मैन टू मैन मार्किंग होती है CA एंड एन MSME के साथ. तो दैट CA कैन पथ प्रदर्शन करके they can help the MSME gain access to what the government of India or whatever is there globally available. They should be reading and learning and imparting and disseminating the knowledge to their MSMEs. That is one piece of advice.
Doctors, I want to react on you.
Yes.
Doctor Saab.
Ma'am, just one small observation and the input. See, CAs, if you go to a restaurant, there is a menu card. Now you should know what exactly you want to eat and what you want to order.
Right.
CAs are like a menu card.
क्या बात.
Problem is, the person who has gone through the menu card, he doesn't know what to order.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's
Right.
precisely the issue of the SME owners. And I don't blame them for that. They have to
Right.
learn this.
Right. So
Right.
I think the menu card has to be more AI based and understanding the need of the
Menu chart should also be very, very clear. What is so, Mr. Devidyal sir, Garg sir, anything?
So I think, sir, I would just borrow the phrase that Mr. Patel used basically regarding changing the mindset. I think it's time for the MSMEs to look at risk from a very different perspective. Basically, get out of mindset of under insurance. Basically, if you look at the penetration levels in the MSME, they're very, very low in terms of the insuring the assets, insuring other part, and that.
People are not aware. Now I think people are telling, this is
Yeah.
the first time people are aware that insurance company is also playing very important role for SME sector. I think people are now will come to you. I
And
think
sir, in addition, I think in addition, one is that you don't insure at all. The other one is you underinsure, and that is again basically for a small premium you want to save. But if something happens, then you are stranded basically.
very nice, right? Sir, I am thankful to all the participants. I think they are given an excellent feedback. I think this is the first time where so many feedback is coming, so many telephone are coming. So I am thankful to all my panelists who have this live discussion. I think we have done a very practical discussion. I have no word on behalf of myself and the Research in India to express our gratitude to Dr. C.A. Chaitanya Shah, Shri Bhavesh Patil sir, who is a very busy person, still on my request, he spare his time. I am also thankful to Miss Nikita Bose and Mr. Devi Dayal Garg sir, who has spared entire times. I'm also thankful to my team of the screen. We're talking about the Devesh Sharma, who is the pillar of this webinar, Mr. Ayush, Mr. Lokesh, Mr. Ankit Singh, and Vishwas, who is the main writer of this all program for that. I'm thankful to them. So for Resurgent India, I'm just telling we are a merchant banker, we are investment banker. We are also conducting a technical viability study for all the entrepreneurs. I am impaneled with almost all the banks. Besides, I am also preparing DPRs, draft project report. If any entrepreneurs require our assistance, definitely we are there. We are also providing training to the bankers. We are the all the knowledge partner, most of the associations, most of the chambers existing in India. So with this word, I close the session. Really, I enjoyed the session very well. And we tried that we should, the webinar, virtual webinar should be a different type. Instead of putting all such things, जैसे बैंक पैसा नहीं दे रहा, sanction नहीं हो रहा, ये नहीं हो रहा, instead of that, so we want to be practicals, mindset. And Mr. Bhavesh telling mindset should be changed. If we can dream big, I think this is a mantra. Dream big and mindset should be changed. If everything is done, there is no dearth of the funds. Funds are available. If you are 3C, you are following it, your credibility, capital, and capacity. What Mr. Shah is telling 3C. If you are having it 3C, definitely there is no dearth of the funds available with them. So with this word, I close the session. Again, thankful to all my participants and to my eminent speakers for that. Thank you very much, sir. I'm
Thank
really
you.
obliged for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.